used a beta for iOS and iPadOS every year for the past 6 years. And this year was a huge and exciting update to the entire Apple ecosystem. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Yoni, I'm a self-taught web developer, and today we're going to be talking about my thoughts and experience of the iOS and iPadOS 15 beta so far this year. Before we start, I want to just go over a couple of things I've noticed this year of using the betas. This year, it seems that Apple are trying to make the ecosystem work even better together. Almost all the updates that happen on one OS this year happens in every single OS Apple offers this year, such as Focus Mode, Shared with Me, the new Safari, the updates to FaceTime, and a whole bunch more. Since iOS 7 and even since iPhone OS 1, the notifications have looked almost the exact same throughout the entire time. This year, Apple have changed notifications by making them look a bit cleaner and more minimal. I'm sure if you've been on Twitter since the betas came out, you've seen everyone and their grandma rant about how much they hate the new Safari design. They do have a complete valid and fair point. The new Safari design just sucks. Me and lots of others really do want the old design back. But what exactly is so bad about the new design? The tab bar is really the most controversial part of this entire new Safari update. Apple have just made the tab bar plain out awful. The way the tabs work now is the search bar and the tab you've got open is now all cooperated into one button. I have two big issues with this new design. If I have more than 10 tabs open at a time, I can barely see more than half my other tabs open now. My other issue, which is the biggest issue, when you go to select one of the tabs on your iPad with a mouse, due to the way the mouse works on your iPad is snapping into UI elements, what happens is you end up by mistake snapping over the X instead of tapping on the tab, and before you know it, you've closed the tab. One of the most annoying things Apple have done with this update too is remove all the useful buttons such as refresh, text slides, and all of that to a three-dotted menu, which is really annoying to access. In classic Apple fashion, they tried to simplify something, but they ended up just making it harder. And yes, I do know you can swipe down like an app to refresh, but most people don't know that, and it's not user accessible to find out. And also, when you have multiple tabs open on your iPad or Mac and you go to one of your currently open tabs and you try to change what's in the search bar, for some weird reason, the entire view is off-center. That's the most un-Apple-like thing I've seen in ages. Although there are definitely a few great upgrades to Safari now. Apple now lets you get all the same extensions you can get on your Mac, on your iPhone and iPad. That would be cool, but all the Safari extensions sucks, and that's why I use Brave over Safari on my Mac. At first, I did not like the design of Safari on your iPhone. In fact, I still don't like the new design, but Apple is slowly fixing it. I've linked a blog post down below from Matt Birchler based on what he thinks the new Safari design should look like, based off the Apple Maps design, and oh boy does it look way better than Apple's design. Focus Mode is one of my new favourite features this year. Focus Mode allows you to switch between multiple different modes such as personal mode, workout mode, a whole load of modes. The reason this is cool is because you can say, when I'm in work mode, I only want to show this home screen, only get notifications from Slack, and only get email notifications from this person, phone calls from this person, and messages from this person. This is great as it really allows the iPhone to become a more handy tool and almost likely stop people who carry around two phones with them because they like a work phone and a personal phone. You can also set up your phone to switch modes depending on time and location, and it can also just learn time and location too over time using machine learning. This year, Siri got a bit of an upgrade. Siri is now finally running locally on your device, which means after 10 plus years of Siri being a thing, you can now finally set a timer when you're not connected to the internet. Finally, in a piece. That also means because Siri isn't accessing the cloud as much, Siri is also a lot faster, and believe me, it's actually noticeable if you compare it to a device running iOS 14. Siri also has quite a few new facts now. Apple still won't tell us any of the new facts which Siri knows, or any of the old facts Siri knows though. Siri also got smart this year. Now if you ask Siri where the closest Starbucks is, and then say, how do I get there, instead of Siri saying to you, where would you like to go, Siri will direct you to Starbucks. It's definitely one of the most basic features Siri should have had a long time ago, which Google has had for years. But hey, Siri at least finally has it, better late than never. Even though Siri's got all these great improvements, Siri is still one of the worst voice assistants there is, although it is great though that Siri's improving each year. This year, Apple also updated Spotlight on your iPhone and iPad. There weren't a lot of updates, but there were a few cool new updates. When you search for contacts now in Spotlight, you get a lot more options than before, although I still don't get why Apple had to go on about this for 5 minutes in the keynote. Another cool feature which Apple didn't mention in the keynote, but they shouldn't because it's way cooler than the contact, is live text inside of Spotlight. This basically means if I take a picture of something which has the word kinesis, such as my keyboard, on my phone or iPad I search the word kinesis, it's going to give me photo suggestions for my keyboard because it says the word kinesis. Live text. Just mentioned it, so what is it? Live text is one of the coolest, greatest, newest features on your iPhone this year. Live text is more or less just a copy of Google Lens, but a bit better. Basically, if I take a picture of a recipe, I can then highlight that recipe, copy and paste the text anywhere and everywhere on my iPhone. In fact, if there's a phone number or an email in the picture, you can phone the phone number or email the email just by tapping in the picture, which is pretty cool, but it's probably going to be a very underused feature by me. If you're already paying for iCloud, you do get iCloud Plus, which is why the name makes no sense to me. But, you know, it's Apple, they have their weird names, such as iPhone XS Max, iPhone Extra Small Max. Nice one, Apple. Basically, iCloud Plus just gives you 2 new features over regular iCloud, even though it's completely free upgrade. The name still makes no sense to me. When signing up for a service, Apple have Sign In with Apple, but sometimes they don't always have Sign In with Apple. With iCloud Plus now, you're able to basically replicate the same feature, but it will hide your email address, and then it will forward it to your real email through that fake email Apple have made. Apple also have a thing called Active Relay, which is their Apple branded VPN basically. What it does is it hides your IP address from browsing the internet. People have reported their network speeds being a bit slower when doing this, but I haven't seen any difference in testing. Last year, Apple bought the best weather app of all time, Dark Sky. After a year plus of owning the app, Apple finally brought all of its great and amazing features such as accuracy into the actual weather app baked into iOS. A redesigned look with more like tile look, it looks very clean and minimal, like Apple's brand. The weather app now has over 100 different backgrounds depending on the weather outside. The weather map has also got the map kind of like Dark Sky used to have. Oh, and there's also now notifications which are going to tell you when it's going to rain, when it will be cloudy, when it will snow, and much more, just like Dark Sky. The weather app is great now, and I've stopped using Dark Skies, but default weather app is so good now. Though we still don't have the weather app on your iPad, but we have a widget on your iPad for the weather app. At this point, I just think the weather app and the calculator are never going to come to the iPad. It's just a troll by Apple at this point. Multitasking on your iPad got improved a lot this year. Multitasking has been 100% possible on your iPad in the past, but it was hard to discover and use unless you knew the gestures inside and out. Whenever you open an app now, you see a 3-dotted menu. This 3-dotted menu gives you 3 options. You can make an app full screen, slide over, or split view. You make an app from slide over into full screen, now just make it full screen and take it out of slide over. If you make an app in split view full screen, those 2 apps in split view will turn into full screen. Slide over is kind of like having a mini phone which you can slide over on your iPad. It's basically a floating window. In slide over you can load as many apps as you want and you use it just like you use your iPhone. Swipe left and right, hold up for multitasking view and all of that. And if you press the 3-dot menu, then press the slide over, that current window goes into slide over now. There's also a split screen option. This is probably the coolest option. If you're on a full screen app and you select the split screen option, you'll be taken straight to the home screen with the app still on the side a bit, and you'll be able to select a different app, and boom, before you know it, those 2 apps will be a split view pair. You can also swipe down from the top of those 3 little dots to get to the same view where you can select a different app to open up in split view. And if you're wondering, the old multitasking gestures still do work on iPadOS 15. The multitasking functionality has also been improved in the multiple window view. Also, when you have multiple windows open, there's a little icon in the top corner. You can press it and see all those active windows open, or even create a new one. There's also App Shelf now. What App Shelf does is whenever you open an app which has multiple windows open, you'll be able to see all those windows at the bottom. You'll be able to create a new window or drag one of those windows to be in slide over or split view of the current window of the app you've got open. After years of asking, Apple finally added keyboard shortcuts for all your multitasking needs. The globe key is the master key for all the keyboard shortcuts. You're able to control split view, slide over, and everything, all with the globe key now. If your keyboard doesn't have a globe key, you can remap it easily in the settings, although you're going to have to give up one of your keys. I'd recommend giving up caps lock. In fact, on all my keyboards, caps lock I've remapped to escape or the globe key, depending on its iPadOS or macOS. One of the coolest keyboard shortcuts you finally got is for Siri. You press globe S, you can activate Siri. The reason this is really cool is because I'm now able to activate type to Siri, able to type anything I want to Siri, and Siri won't speak back to me. It's like having a mini little launchpad all to myself. You can now also access the notification center and control center with keyboard shortcuts. Sadly though, you can't control Control Center with just your keyboard, you have to use your mouse, and there's still no option to control your keyboard brightness or volume with keyboard shortcuts or anything. You can now use your arrow keys all around your iPad's home screen and dock to select apps and press enter to open the app. There's also a new keyboard shortcut for a new feature called Quick Note. You press Globe Q to open up a new little Quick Note. Quick Note is basically like Apple Notes in a little floating window. It opens up a new note every time. You can quickly write down a new note or type in a new note, and it saves straight to your Apple Notes. Quick Note is great for quickly writing down ideas into your notes. So yeah, Apple also added a widgets and app library to your iPad. Basically everything that should have been there since last year in iPadOS 14. Just like the iPhone, you're able to place widgets anywhere and everywhere you want now on your iPad. And also, due to the iPad's bigger screen, Apple has given us a widget that takes up, instead of 4 spaces, it takes up 8 spaces now, which allows you to fit more content into that widget. Apple also lets us now hide apps in the app library this year, and we can access the app library either by swiping to the last page like you do on your iPhone, or in the dock there's a little thing which looks like a folder but it's actually the app library. Also, one of the greatest new accessibility features be able to have app-specific settings. For an example, you can have in settings the font size is 120% over 100%, but then in things 3, the font size is 90% over 100%. Also, I'm not quite sure if this is the beta or not, but my iPad Pro with Magic Keyboard keeps having weird issues where I can't type, and only in Safari, Notion and settings though. I have to close up my iPad, wait a few minutes, then start typing again. If I was having this issue before the beta, maybe it's just Safari, Notion, because it's only in Safari with Room Research and Notion, which are very weird and laggy on the iPhone and iPads. Thank you all for watching. I know this is a bit of a long video. If you enjoyed this video, and I'm sure you're enjoying my video from last week, thank you for watching and see you later. Time using machine learning. At least I think it's machine learning. Siri got a bit of an upgrade. Yay, finally, Siri's good.